Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning still. Apopka High School welcomes you to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for game number 17 of the 10th annual Metro vs. Florida Challenge, the event that puts the reputation of the Orlando Metro Conference on the line, and it's 20 public high schools in Orange County against some of the best talent in the greater Central Florida area. And we welcome as our guests, wearing the blue and black jerseys, visitors on the scoreboard. From Osceola High School, they are the Cowboys. And wearing the white jerseys, home on the scoreboard representing the Orlando Metro Conference from Evans High School, they are the Trojans. Let's meet the teams. We'll begin with our guests from Osceola. And we'll start at shooting guard with 6'3" senior, number 2, Armani Thomas. At point guard, 5'9" junior, number 3, Josh Blazquez. At guard, 6'1" freshman, number 4, David Rock. At wing, 6'2" senior, number 11, Sean Combs. And finally for the Cowboys at guard, 5'9" sophomore, number 20, Chris Combs. And the head coach of the Cowboys in his 6th season at Osceola, Nathan Alexander. And now let's meet the lineup for the Evans Trojans. Starting at wing and forward, 6'6" senior, number 3, Collis Griffin. At guard, 5'9" sophomore, number 4, Jyshaun Melvin. At guard and wing, 6'2" senior, number 5, Surrey Washington. At guard, 6'1" senior, number 22, Deshaun Osborne. And finally for the Trojans, at wing and forward, 6'4" senior, number 30, Tristan Curry. The head coach of the Trojans in his 3rd year, Mr. Lonza Morgan.
What? Oh no, we lose her.
And good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Barchi, Media Director for the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, here with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, ready to take you through game number 17 of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge.
That's right, Mark. And again, excellent job of introducing the players. As we get started here, the Florida contingency now holds a 10-6 lead. And we got a matchup between two schools, both Class 7A, the largest classification now in the state of Florida. Teams not just expected to make the playoffs, but they have the highest of expectations. They're expected to win state championships. So starting off, we look at Osceola. Of course, they are the defending state champion, a bit of an oddity this year since there's no longer Class 9A. They are now only 7 classes.
Block is called against Cowboys, number 4, David Rock, his first.
So technically, Osceola is no longer defending the Class 9A champion, but nonetheless, they are a defending state champion. They graduated 9 seniors last year. That group won 97 games. They also won the 2017 state championship.
Deshaun Osborne for 3 on the pass from Melvin.
So 2 state championships for Osceola in 4 years. Of course, Mark, you and I were very familiar with that 2017 final.
Hold is called against number 20, Chris Combs. His first, the team's second.
Mark and I, of course, are the house announcer for the Wekiva High School Mustangs, just down the road here from Apopka High School. And Wekiva was the team that Osceola beat in that final to take that last victory to claim the state championship.
3 seconds in the key. Cowboys ball.
So again, Cowboys come into this season off a 26-7 record, 6-2 in the district, state champions. They are now in Class 7A District 6, and they lost 9 players to graduation. However, they have 7 seniors on this roster. The names to look out for are Armani Thomas and Josh Blazquez. And they have been graced with 3 freshmen. So again, they're very much like Evans in the fact that they seem to always have players to replace. They have what I call the line of succession. Looking over at Evans, the Metro Conference, of course, they were a regional champion last year, which means they made it all the way to the state Final Four.
Thirty-second timeout requested by Osceola.
So Evans, of course, made it to the state Final Four. They were 23-8, 4-2 regular season in their district. They did go on to win the district championship. They are now in Class 7A District 3. And granted, it's a little bit longer, actually quite a bit longer, but Evans does have a state championship under their belt. They were the 1975 state champions. They won Class 4A. There were only 4 classes at the time, but they have since then made it to multiple state finals and state Final Fours. Most recently, or the last decade, 3 times they've made it all the way to the final. They lost 7 seniors from last year's squad, but they returned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They returned 10 seniors. Again, something you would expect from Evans. They have that reputation of having a great line of succession, which of course is a mandatory requirement if you're going to constantly contend for state championships. You have to be able to replace your graduating seniors. And their big names this year, the faces of the program, are Deshaun Osborne, Surrey, Washington, only a guard, Jyshaun Melvin, and they picked up Collis Griffin, a transfer. So sit back and enjoy. Get to watch 2 of the premier teams in the state go at it now.
Surrey, Washington. The elbow is called against number 4, David Rock, his second, team's third.
So once again, broken record. Nonetheless, still what's going on here. Both teams open up in man-to-man. So Evans has already taken 4 shots here, actually 6 field goals. And in the meantime, Osceola has turned the ball over 3 times. Again, I realize this is only the first or second game for Osceola, but still, you expect them to be able to handle the ball a little bit better, being a defending state champion and having players to replace the seniors who graduated.
Basket scored by number 3, Collis Griffin.
So both these teams rely on good ball movement, perimeter, inside to outside. So again,
Foul's called against number 30, Tristan Correa's first team's first.
so of course Blazquez has yet to score, as is the case for all the players on Osceola.
Coach, will you do me a favor when they sub? Can you put them on the X? I can't see you all the way down.
And Blazquez shows a part of his game there, the free throw part, to see why he is a significant part of this defending state champion. Nice, easy, smooth stroke there.
Jyshaun Melvin fouled on an offensive call. His first. The team second.
First turnover of the game for Evans. In and out there. A little too much umph on the ball by Blazquez.
Offensive charge is called against number 22, Deshaun Osborne, his first, the team's third.
Good job there taking that charge, established the position. It's a very clear foul. And so as Osceola rotates the ball, Mark, going back to Evans, I don't think this is a team that's quite as transition-oriented as those we've seen in the past, but as we've also seen, it is still an integral part of their game.
Yeah, Neil, this is really a surprise to see Osceola start this cold, but certainly Evans, not a surprise at all to see them put that kind of defensive challenge up.
And now Osceola is showing signs of life on the boards here. A couple of offensive rebounds. So again, Mark, none of the teams in this 23-game extravaganza have yet to play more than 2 games, and I think we're seeing that. We've seen a number of games, at least I'd say 15 or 16, where one of the teams comes in and they just look really cold, not just the shooting, but just the overall play. Not quite finding their footing. Takes them about a quarter. And of course, Osceola being the defending state champion, you would expect them to be one of those teams that would come out and have a little bit better flow to their game.
Traveling, Trojans ball.
Certainly look like they'd be more in sync, even with it being only 1 or 2 games into the regular season.
Trojan foul called on number 13, Henry Calixte. That's his first, team's fourth.
So, Mark, you mentioned a few minutes ago that Evans did win the 1975 championship. That team was highlighted and I guess you say led by Daryl Dawkins, none other than Chocolate Thunder, among a host of other nicknames himself. And of course, Daryl went on to play in the NBA for about 15 years. Won of course, was a multiple-time All-Star and came to be known for his artistic beauty of his dunks. So of course, I know that was quite some time ago, over 40 years, but still something for Evans to take pride in. Again, to go along with their 3 championship final appearances over the last decade.
White 2.
Push is called against number 2, Avery Anderson. That's his first, the team's fifth.
And so, Mark, let's also keep an eye on the fouls here. I think they will come into play. We have 5 for Evans and 4 for Osceola here as we get to under a minute in the first quarter. So Osceola had only 2 shots through the first 4 minutes. They are now up to 7. So definitely, again, as I mentioned, we've seen this, I'd say more than 2/3 of the time. One of the teams just comes out and needs a quarter to find their footing.
Clark goes over the backboard. That's equivalent to out of bounds. Team rebound goes to the Cowboys.
And Osceola gets this last shot, much needed here. Again, they've sort of righted the ship, find their footing, but still could definitely be a big boost to go in, cutting that lead to 1 possession. Doesn't happen, though.
That takes us to the end of the first period. And it's a low-scoring ball game. High defensive output on both of these teams, stifling the offensive performance. Nevertheless, it's a close one. 5 points separate these two teams. 7-2 is your score at the end of the first quarter. All right, welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium. Ready for the second quarter here of a really low-scoring ball game. Both teams frustrating the other defensively.
That's one way to put it, Mark. Although
Some of the teams frustrating themselves defensively, perhaps a bit too.
But again, certainly we have a reflective stats reflecting the score here. As I mentioned a couple times towards the end of that second quarter, we've seen a number of teams, probably over 2/3 of the team.
Henry Calixte strikes first for the second quarter.
They come into the game and it takes them a quarter or so to find their footing, so to speak, but none is more apropos than Osceola.
Tyrese Carballo for 3. And we'll pause for a timeout.
So
30-second timeout requested by the Trojans.
apropos because that was actually the first field goal that Osceola has converted. They were 0 of 12 in that first quarter. Again, you do understand there is some leeway because this is the first game of the season. So obviously you would expect to need a couple of games to kind of find that footing, find the flow and get all the components, players working together. But still, a defending state champion missing 12 consecutive attempts is something very unusual. On the other side, Evans, 3 of 7, 43%. Again, respectable, nothing to write home about, but 43 compared to 0 is certainly quite a difference. And now Osceola, after missing the first 12.
Chris Combs and 1. Foul's called against number 2. Avery Anderson, that's his second personal foul, and the team's 6th.
So Osceola, after missing the first 12 field goal attempts, has now made 2 in a row. Both those points that came in the first quarter were 2. Rebounds are about even, 8 for Osceola, 7 for Evans. A slight advantage for Osceola at the free throw line, like we said, 2 of 2. Evans did not attempt a free throw, and turnovers were 6 for Evans, 4 for Osceola.
Thomas and 1. The foul is called at this time against number 4. Jyshaun Melvin is second.
Timeout.
30-second timeout requested by the Cowboys.
Osceola. 30 seconds, 38 seconds.
So again, as we get back to live action, Osceola went from not converting 1 of 12 field goal attempts in the first quarter to taking the lead. Osceola, since missing those first 12, were 3 of 3. Of course, now they just missed that one, but they were 3 of 3, along with going 4 of 4 from the free throw line. That gave him a 9-0 run.
Collis Griffin is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Trojans. Foul is called against Edwin Colon. That's his first personal foul, the team's 5th.
So first free throw attempts here for Evans. Blazquez with 2 points, will remain with 2 points.
Back-to-back turnovers on each side. Trojans will go for the paint. And it's in. Deshaun Osborne from the top of the key for 2. All right, Neil, it's a new ball game.
Yeah, 11-11. Again, both teams, and we've seen this probably in over 2/3 of the game. Each of them have a run through the first quarter and a half.
Offensive charge is called against Josh Blazquez. That was taken by Deshaun Osborne. It's Blazquez's first personal, the team's 6th.
Man-to-man remains in effect for both teams.
Armani Thomas on the Cowboy jump shot.
First tray of the ball game for Osceola.
Basket by number 30, Tristan Curry.
And we will be in bonus the rest of the way as well. 4 minutes left before halftime.
Hold is called against number 11. Jamari Brown on the rebound. That's his first. Team's 8th, and it puts the Cowboys into bonus.
That was Edwin Colon at the line. He has yet to score a point. First missed free throw, too.
Collis Griffin is fouled. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul called this time against number 1. Edwin Colon is second, the team's 7th.
Have a seat, please, so we can see if it goes in or not. Thank you.
So Collis Griffin at the line, Collis Griffin at the line with 2 points, make that 3 now. By the way, that was the first free throw made by Evans. They've only taken 4 though.
Collis Griffin fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against number 3, Josh Blazquez. His second, the team's 8th.
So again, Griffin back at the line. Again, he has 3 points, 1 of 2 from the field. And he's actually taken all 4. Well, this will be the 5th and 6th free throw he's taken. Nobody else on Evans has taken a free throw yet. A lot of action here we've seen on these rebounds.
Armani Thomas for 3.
Again, a much different looking shooting team for Osceola. They've now made a couple of those trades which were not falling in the first quarter as we dip under 2.5 minutes.
Chris Combs picks up 2 for the Cowboys.
So 3-point lead, the biggest of the game for Osceola. And again, Osceola is starting to heat up here after missing all 12 of their field goal attempts during the first quarter. Of course, they're getting some help now from Evans, a couple of turnovers. And yes, we will be shooting bonus free throws the rest of the way.
Deshaun Osborne, 3.
And there you go, Evans, you can't leave him open. Bad rotation, nobody rotated over to the shooter and in the corner. All Evans had to do was make an accurate inbound pass. Of course, that was a nice pass in the fact that it led the shooter into the basket.
Josh Blazquez on the jumper.
1:20 left. And now after a very slow start, only about 30 points were put on the board by both teams through the first quarter and a half. These teams are now starting to put some points up on the board. They've put up 9 points in the last minute or so.
Chris Combs in transition.
Under a minute here. And now I heard Coach Morgan get up and yell out to his players to hold the ball. So they are going to take the last shot here, or at least attempt to take the last shot. And so much for that.
Henry Glickston is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Trojans. Foul is called against number 2, Armani Thomas. That's his first personal foul, the team's 9th.
Colexti with 3 points now. He is 1 of 1 from the field. That was his first free throw attempt. Some more points left on the table. This should be at least a 22-all game. Evans only 4 of 8 from the free throw line, and Osceola's going to hold on to the ball here. Again, both teams man-to-man the whole way. Osceola with the opportunity to reach their biggest lead of the game.
That takes us to halftime, and these teams have woken up on the offense in the second quarter, and we're out to a close ball game. Just 3 points separate these teams. The Cowboys up 22-19, headed into the locker rooms here in game number 17 of our Metro versus Florida Challenge, presented by St. Germain Chiropractic and Burn Fat Orlando. We'll take this opportunity to thank some of our partners who helped to make the Metro versus Florida Challenge possible. We just mentioned St. Germain Chiropractic Clinic. They are the premier chiropractic provider in the Central Florida, Orlando area, offering non-invasive healthcare services with most insurance accepted. Check in with St. Germain for your back and neck pain, headaches, auto accidents, slip and fall, musculoskeletal conditions, and more. When in pain, call St. Germain. We also thank our friends at Burn Fat Orlando, who challenge you to step on the scale with a money-back guarantee. If you don't lose weight in the first 10 days, they'll refund your money. Call them at 855-889-THIN. That's 855-889-THIN. And we thank our friends at Baptiste Orthodontics, bracing you and our community for success. Dr. Baptiste and his team have been supporters of Orange County Public Schools, Apopka High School, and the Metro versus Florida Challenge. And they offer free consultation at any of their 3 Orlando area offices for braces, clear aligners, Invisalign for children and adults, and more. Visit them at BaptisteOrthodontics.com today. We also thank our friends at Elevate Orlando, a nonprofit that helps students to grow in character and life skills. They are in the classroom modeling their values through mentoring and incorporating that into all they do so students can apply it to their lives. They have a partnership with 14 Orange County Public Schools and a 98% graduation rate and 96% post-secondary placement through their accredited elective courses and mentorship programs. Join the more than 1,500 students benefiting from Elevate Orlando services. Visit elevateorlando.com. And we want to thank City of Apopka Commissioner Kyle Becker for his ongoing support of Apopka High School and the Metro versus Florida Challenge. For those of you joining us on our webcast, we will be back in about 6 minutes here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium, ready to pick up with the second half of Game 17 here at the 10th Annual Metro versus Florida Challenge. Welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium. Mark Bargy, Media Director for the Metro versus Florida Challenge, here with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. Ready to take you through our third and fourth quarters here of Game 17 between the Evans Trojans and the Osceola Cowboys. And we're going to have the Cowboys have the opening possession of the third quarter.
Yeah, Mark, pretty much a game as far as the score, which we have actually seen probably over 2/3 of the games here. One team comes out, needs a little time, about a quarter and a half, to find their footing. And that, of course, was Osceola. They fell behind 7-1. Missed 12 field goal attempts in the first quarter. They are now actually up to 31, went 8 of 15 in that second quarter. 8 of 14, actually. And that field goal percentage propelled them into the lead. So, again, a team comes out, falls behind early, seems to have some trouble finding their feet, and then gets hot and takes the lead.
Push is called against number 20, Chris Combs. His second, the team's first this half, and it sends Jyshaun Melvin to shoot two.
So, as I mentioned, 8 of 26 overall in that first half for Osceola. 47% for Evans. They obviously have been the more consistent team. However, they do find themselves behind, and that is because of offensive rebounding. It's 19-11 total rebounds, but 8-1 in favor of Osceola on the offensive ends. Free throws and turnovers are pretty much even, as we now have a 2-point game here. 4 of 5 for Osceola from the line, and 3 of 8 from Evans from the line. Turnovers, 11 for Evans and 10 for Osceola.
Second chance basket by Chris Combs. Back to a 4-point game. Tristan Curry on the Trojan jump shot.
So again, as we get into the second half here, Mark, this is the Metro versus Florida Challenge. The premise is quite simple. Every team in the Metro Conference plays every game. One team from the Metro Conference plays a team representing the Florida contingency. And the Metro Conference is made up of all the Florida public high schools in Orange County. So if the school is not in Orange County, they're a member of the Florida contingency, as we now get another turnover by Evans.
Actually, I think that was a block shot. Thomas to rock for two.
And at the end of the day, 23 games. In 3 days, we will add up who gets the most victories. Right now it is a 10-6 lead for the Florida contingency. The Florida contingency has only won 2 of the 9 previous events. And again, after a slow start there and some very cold shooting being the centerpiece of that cold start, or that slow start for Osceola, they are certainly heating up here, surging not only into the lead, but a 4-point lead.
Air ball. Combs swings out to Blazquez. To Thomas, thought about the three, didn't like it, and it's going to get taken away from him. Jyshaun Melvin steals 2 for the Trojans.
And again, the trend continues, Mark. I mentioned that both these teams are very up-tempo, like to create pressure, attack in the lane on transition. That's been traditionally what they like to do. They're not quite as that oriented towards transition and attacking in transition, but nonetheless, they are still being very effective when the opportunity arises.
Melvin to Griffin for 2.
And we have another tied score, Mark.
Sub.
So again, we've seen a lot of this throughout the game. Pretty much the entire game has been based on this. Both teams get 2 or 3 possessions. They look really well. And then the other team puts together 2 or 3 possessions of good play. Of course, that is very indicative of teams that are playing in their first or second game of the regular season.
Armani Thomas gets the basket and a chance to make it a 3-point play. The foul is called against number 30, Tristan Curry. That's his second personal foul and the team's first this half.
So again, Evans is not the most proficient, to put it mildly, free throw shooting team. Only 3 of 8 at the half. But this time they do get it. And Anderson now has 3 points. Under 4 minutes here in the third quarter. And we got both teams going man-to-man. Again, that's pretty much a broken record, Mark. Only about 8 minutes have spent with one team playing outside of man-to-man defense.
Jyshaun Melvin for 3 from Anderson.
So another tie, Mark. I believe this is our 8th tie of the ball game. Again, Osceola fell behind 7-1 since they found their footing and made about 50% in the second quarter. This has been a nip and tuck affair.
Combs is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against Armani Thomas, his second, the team's second.
So pretty much both teams have been answering the opponent. Anything you can do, I can do just as well. So Chris Combs at the line. He comes to the line with 3 points. One of 3 from the field. This is second, 1 of 1 from the free throw.
No basket, violation called
And
on the Cowboys.
Unfortunately for Osceola, points left on the table there. One of their leaders did not come up with points when needed.
Now that's one of the few cases in basketball stats where the stats are really not fair, because that'll go as a missed free throw against Combs, even though he actually made it, and it was his teammate, in fact, that invalidated it.
Right. Yeah, it's like in football when the quarterback throws the ball right on the numbers and the receiver drops the ball.
Jyshaun Melvin is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against Cowboys, number 20, Chris Combs. That's his third, the team's second.
So now we got a stoppage in the action here. I'd just like to point out Coach Brittany Hardy. She's the coach of the Apopka women's basketball team. She's doing taking in some action. Her team actually plays at 3 o'clock tonight against Seminole. So we actually added the other gender about 3 years ago.
Offensive foul is called against Armani Thomas. His second, the team's third.
So stoppage in the action here to wipe off the floor. And I got to admit, Mark, again, I know these teams aren't quite as transition-oriented as they've been in the past, but I still did expect a higher score, at least both teams in the 40s at this point.
Trojan basket by number 13. Henry Calixte.
Hudson with a stop and go move there, getting his position underneath the basket.
Push is called against number 2, Armani Thomas. His third personal foul, team's fourth.
So Osceola, both good and bad there, getting an offensive rebound and committing a foul in a turnover. Man-to-man remains in effect, although both these teams are picking up their men for the most part at half court. We have yet to see any consistent full court pressure. So, Mark, this has been a very entertaining game as far as the entertainment value. Again, it's been pretty much anything you can do, I can do just as well. There again, both teams turning the ball over. And when it's all said and done, we have a one.
Melvin to Calixte for 2.
When all said and done, we have a 5-point lead for Osceola, for Evans. So Evans now on a 7-0 run.
Josh Blazquez spins into the key for 2.
Less than a minute here. Evans with the option of setting up for the last field goal so far. Again, much more deliberate pace. But now they're going to go inside. Got that pass in the opening. Great defense, though. Rotated over and got the right angle on that block. And just like that, now the impetus of being able to get that last shot before the fourth quarter is on Osceola, or in Osceola's favor. 10 seconds, going to have to start to move now.
Offensive charge is called on Josh Blazquez, his third, the team's fifth. That was taken by Deshaun Osborne. Checking into the game for Evans, number 1, Aaron Clark.
So Osceola comes up with a big play on defense. Evans comes up with a big play on defense. And when all's said and done, it's Evans with 4.6 seconds left.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome and encourage you to take all the pictures and video that you like at tonight's game. All we ask is that you please disable any flashes or video lighting. Thank you.
So I had to make the announcement there, as you could hear, about flash photography. And really comes to nothing. Evans had that last opportunity in the last 30 seconds or so, the opportunity to get that last field goal attempt switched, and neither team was able to convert.
Third quarter, number 30.
And so we come to the end of 3 quarters the same way we started the third quarter, with a 1-possession lead for Evans.
The Trojans have the opening possession of the fourth quarter. Three-point basket by Jyshaun Melvin.
So as we come back to the fourth quarter here,
Aaron Clark for three.
so now Evans starting to put together several possessions, a couple of three-pointers here to start the game. Osceola still shooting the ball fairly well since that first quarter. Again, missed all 12 of their shots in the first quarter. Since then, they are 12 of 25. However, an overall percentage of only 32, 12 of 37. And Evans.
Aaron and Clark for three. The pass from Melvin. And we'll pause for a timeout. Full timeout requested by the Cowboys.
Evans entered that fourth quarter shooting 52%, 13 of 25. That no doubt he is now up 16 of 28. They are now 6 of 10 from the three-point line, so certainly this rush to streak has upped that percentage as well. The other advantage is actually in Osceola's favor. That's offensive rebounds, a 12-2 advantage, 26-16 overall. Turnovers are 15-13 in favor of Evans. And both teams have made 5 free throws, although Evans has shot 12, Osceola 8. So right now, you got a matchup of offensive rebounding versus field goal percentage, and Osceola overcoming an extremely cold start. And the field goal percentage is weighing more than the rebounding. 3 3-pointers is now up the lead to 12 points mark. Biggest lead for either team.
David Rock is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot two. The foul is called against Arthur Johnson, his first personal foul and the team's third.
So David Rock has yet to score a point. Still has not scored a point. He hasn't even taken a field goal attempt. These are his first free throw attempts. And he still hasn't scored 2 points that Osceola needed critically, leaving points on the table there. The run continues for Evans. 14 in a row now.
Bad pass. Block is called against number 2, Armani Thomas. That's his 4th personal foul. The team's 6th. So that foul could become critical. Armani Thomas is the leading scorer for the Cowboys with 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. And now he has 4 fouls. So he's going to have to behave himself for the next 6 minutes.
Yeah, and the team has 6, so Evans will be shooting bonus the rest of the way.
Calixte is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is called against number 4, David Rock. That's his 3rd personal, and the team's 7th.
Again, as we are now about 6 minutes from the end of this ballgame, these are two teams that are accustomed and have expectations of not just making the FHSA postseason tournament, but making a deep run and even contending for the state championship. A matchup of Class 7A, the highest classification now. Osceola not only won last year's state championship, they actually won the 2017. Evans has not won a state championship since 1975, but nonetheless, they are one of a few teams in the state that have won state championships, and they have made it to the final 3 times in the last decade.
Traveling Trojans ball.
And more mistakes are now plaguing Osceola, the defending state champion. A 16-0 run right now. Evans with an opportunity to up that 16-point lead, with 16-point run, 16-0. Both teams have gone man-to-man the whole way. Not a surprise. We've seen man-to-man for all but about 8 minutes of this event. And 18 in a row now. Great movement by Evans. 2 passes, got the ball under the paint, and an easy shot.
Basket by number 3, Collis Griffin.
So also, Mark, want to bring up the changes made by FHSAA as we dip under 5 minutes here. Osceola continues to miss the net. So for starters, the FHSAA has reduced the amount of classifications from 9 to 7.
Fouls called against number 10. Gabe Matthias, that's his first personal foul, the team's 8th. David Rock into the game for Sean Combs. At the line shooting bonus, Deshaun Osborne.
So Osborne with 9 points. He'll remain at 9 points as he misses that first free throw. Again, going back to the classifications, the reduction means we're going to have larger districts. So indirectly and intangibly, we're going to see a lot more variations, a lot more range. Logistics change tremendously.
Deshaun Osborne on the jumper from the key.
More teams mean more travel and the amount of locations you have to travel to, as well as the distance. You have to also prepare for more teams, which means more diversity.
No basket. Offensive charge is called against number 20, Chris Combs, his 4th, the team's 9th. No bonus shots on offensive fouls, but it will turn the ball over to the Trojans.
And tangibly now and more directly, though, the FHSAA qualification, the qualification for the FHSAA postseason tournament is changing. It's pretty much the same format being used by football for the last 3 years. There are 4 regions across the state of Florida. There are 4 districts in each of those 4 regions. The 4 district champions earn an automatic berth, and they get a seeding no worse than 4th. However, the final 4 berths are now determined according to a wild card system, and that wild card system is based on a point system overseen by MaxPreps.com.
Aaron Clark from Surrey, Washington for 3.
Evans now on a 23-0 run. Again, Mark, you expect Evans, again, always a team that's looking to go deep into the FHSAA postseason tournament, to put together a big game-defining run, but you never expect 23 points in a row.
And so with that 23-point run by the Trojans, the Cowboys will take a timeout. 52-31 is the score with 4 minutes, 13 seconds remaining in the ball game. Here's your game reset. No fouls to give on the Cowboys side. They'll have double bonus in Evans' favor on the next foul. Watching fouls, we have Thomas and Combs with 4 each for the Cowboys. Evans has Anderson with 3. Timeout situation. 3.5 timeouts remaining for the Trojans, and just 1 timeout remaining for the Cowboys.
So again, Mark, as we now dip under to 4 minutes here, a 23-0 run by Evans against the defending state champions.
Carballo fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot two. Foul is called against number 22, Deshaun Osborne. That's his second personal foul. The team's fourth.
Opportunity here for Osceola to break this mammoth run put together by Evans. They had an opportunity about a minute ago, could not get either of the free throws. Edwin Colon yet to score a point. And guess what, Mark? The run is over at 23 points.
I think that may be little consolation to Osceola.
Yes, little consolation. Again, just a tremendous surprise, not in the fact that Evans has put together a big run, but 23 points in a row.
Armani Thomas steals two for the Cowboys.
23 points in a row against a defending state champion.
Foul's called against number 20, Chris Combs. That's his fifth personal foul, and he will retire from the game with 9 points and 6 rebounds for the Cowboys. Deshaun Osborne will be shooting double bonus.
Yeah, and Evans is going to be shooting double bonus the rest of the way. 10 fouls have been committed by Osceola.
Alonzo Rucker is into the game.
So a 19-point lead here by Evans, 3 minutes, 40 seconds left. And again, the story of this game was a 23-0 run, which just came to an end. Evans was actually down by a basket early in the third quarter. Evans representing the Metro Conference. Some great defense here by Osceola. But of course, might be too little too late.
Armani Thomas with a jumper. And we'll pause for a timeout. 30-second timeout requested by Evans. This will be the last 30-second timeout of the game.
As we come back here, about to go under 3 minutes, Evans has been led in scoring by Deshaun Osborne with 12 points, Melvin with 10, and Clark with 9. However, 8 players in total have scored for Evans. Looking at Osceola, one, two,
Foul's called against number 1, Aaron Clark. His first, the team's fifth.
So Osceola is led by Amari Thomas, 15 points. And then next highest score is Chris Combs with 9. 1, 2, and only 5 players have scored. So Osceola has only had 5 players scored compared to 8 for Evans. Certainly a committee versus one-man one-man gang, and right now the committee has certainly convincingly pulled in front.
Surrey, Washington for 3.
So under 2 minutes here, I'd say this game pretty much has gone by the wayside as far as the outcome. I know Osceola is still out there giving its best effort, as you just saw there, but you're not making up 20 points here in a minute 45 now. So again, Evans came out, shot the ball well from the beginning. They were shooting over 40% at the end of the first quarter, actually 47% to be exact. They did have a bit of a lull. Percentage went down for about 4 minutes there in that second quarter.
Returning to the game for Osceola, Ryan Rivera.
However, Evans regained their touch towards the end of the second quarter, and they have shot almost 50%, between 46 and 49 throughout this second half. Osceola was much, much more of an up-and-down team, missing their first 12 field goals. They did manage to get it back up to 31 in the second, shooting the ball very well, 50%, but they have certainly dropped here in the fourth quarter, and all of which led to a 23-0 run by Evans.
Traveling, Cowboys ball. Checking into the game for Evans, number 1, Aaron Clark.
And so again, consistency in that field goal percentage, as well as the committee approach. 3 players who have now scored at least 9 points for Evans has carried the day to victory over a much more inconsistent Osceola team, which is also relying on one man,
22 is not in the book.
Amari Thomas. And again, this is only the first or second game for both these teams. Nonetheless, Osceola will go down as a defending state champion, and that says a lot to Evans. Great victory for him as far as moving forward.
Traveling, Trojans ball.
So again, under 20 seconds, and to wrap it up, the number that will always be remembered about this game and probably stay in Osceola's mind is 23, as in 23 straight points scored from about the midway point of the third quarter to the midway point of the fourth quarter. During that span, Evans shot over 90%, missing just a couple shots, taking over 20. Osceola went stone cold, shooting under 10%.
That takes us to the end of the ball game, and a 23-point run from the Trojans will take them from behind to be a 20-point victor. 56-36 is the final score, and Evans notches one for the Metro Conference. They're up to being a 7-10 trail on the overall event. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out to support your Trojan and Cowboy athletes. And we also thank those of you who tuned in online to our YouTube channel, Metro vs. Florida Challenge. Don't go anywhere except the concession stand. Coming up next, game 18, Falcons versus Highlanders. That's up next here at the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, and we'll get started with that in about 10 minutes. For those of you enjoying the online webcast, please remember that each webcast is a separate game and a separate event, so you will need to exit out of this live stream and get into the next one if you'd like to continue joining us, and we hope that you will. We'll see you in about 9.5 minutes.